Good afternoon. My name is Jim Conlan and welcome back to the latest part of our sport show. It's Friday evening. It's big fight weekend here in Ireland. It's the homecoming of Katie Taylor, the first time Katie Taylor fights here in the Republic of Ireland. Home soil since 2011, since she becomes a professional. She's up against an unbeaten British fighter in Chantelle Cameron, another world champion in terms of that. So it's a British-Irish title fight there this weekend in terms of winner takes all. And we're delighted to be joined by one of the top names in women's boxing and women's world boxing. She is going for a world title herself on June the 17th in terms of the Liam Smith Chris Eubank pay-per-view in Sky Sports, when she goes up against Franchon Crews. She's stepping up to super middleweight to challenge for the boxing Super Middleweight Championship of the world, the one and only Savannah Marshall. Savannah, fantastic news about your world title fight. First of all, it's vastly much deserved. We're going to come to that in just a few bits, but this weekend, all focus is on Dublin tomorrow evening. It's a sellout in terms of that. All the talk, all the media sort of talk is about the fight. Even the male comparisons, the world over, is talking about the fight. There are people coming from America. Some of the top names in ESPN and Daz Boxing are coming over to see this fight. Is the hype in Ireland, is it the same sort of hype there over in England and the UK for this one?
Well, I'm not too sure. I think because if you're a boxing fan, yeah, it's massive, and I'm all over it. I've just watched the weigh-in. Absolutely brilliant. And I'm good friends. I'm really, really good friends with Chantelle. So I'm just so excited for her. I'm really excited.
Yeah, and I suppose, Savannah, in terms of going into a fighter's backyard, it's a daunting thing for many sort of fighters to do in terms of that. And obviously, when there's some big names in the sport, it's like going to Vegas and sort of taking on Mike Tyson in Vegas for a renowned sort of Russian fighters. No one's ever gone to Dublin before to take on Katie Taylor in terms of Dublin, in terms of what is going to be a boisterous home crowd. So you mentioned being great friends with Chantelle, but she's really walking into the Lions Den in this week. She's going to experience an atmosphere that she's probably never experienced before in her life in terms of that.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, fair play to her, hats off to her. But this is what she had to, you know, sacrifice to get this fight. I mean, you can even see it in the build-up. It's Katie Taylor's homecoming. It's, you know, it's the Chantelle Cameron's belts. When do you ever hear, you know, the Chantelle Cameron fighting Katie Taylor? No, it's all about Katie Taylor. And that was some chat kind of, you know, let her ego surpass her to get this fight. So fair play to her, because she's gutsy. She's really gutsy. And like you said, to be going to her own backyard, Katie's own backyard. I've just seen it with the weigh-in there. Chantelle even got a couple of boos. But look, she's well aware. She's well aware she's going to get booed, and she's well aware she's not the fit. Do you know that it's the hair belt? She's walking first. Do you know, normally the champion walks first and the challenger walks first. But she even give up that. So this is how much she wants to fight.
Yeah, and I suppose in terms of this sort of fight, in terms of going into the fight for Chantelle, she's 17 fights, 17 wins, 8 of them by knockout sort of power as well. So I'm just looking at both fighters' records. Most of their fights go the distance. There's no real knockout artists in both of them as well. So many would be shocked and surprised if this what didn't go to the cards and this didn't go to decision, because I'm looking over the two fights, looking over the resumes. You can't really say that there's going to be a knockout in this. This is going to be a tactical fight, in my opinion, anyway. It's going to go the full 12 rounds. Is that something that you feel the case as well, that there's no real knockout artist as such in terms of on show this weekend?
I think it's because they're both at the highest level, they're both at elite level. So when you do get to that, when you have two fighters that you know have boxed at the greatest level, you rarely get knockouts really, unless you know the big heavyweight or something like that. But
your knockout percentage is fairly good, Savannah.
Well, you could say I probably haven't boxed as many champions as them too, so you can weigh it up that way. But for me, there's a blueprint there how Katie could get beat. You've seen it with Amanda Serrano, you've seen it with Delphine Persoon, whereas Katie tires late on and she doesn't like pressure. And for me, Chantelle's not a super featherweight like Persoon, like Katie Taylor. Chantelle's a big super lightweight. So I think this fight is won or lost in the earlier rounds. If Katie gets, for me, going into round 5, if Katie's won every round, I think she'll win it on points. Chantelle can't let Katie get too many of the early rounds for me. She has to make her work early on, and then I think she'll have a chance of maybe stopping her. But Katie's got too much heart, so I can see it going to the scorecards.
And Savannah, in terms of the psychological aspect, and it's something that's so important, not only in males boxing, but female boxing. And I'm just looking back in terms of the amateur careers of both. And obviously they have met before in the amateur's career. And in terms of Katie beat her at the Olympics or the World, actually it was the World Championships, I do believe, Olympics 2011, anyway, that in terms of their amateur career, Chantelle lost the semi-final to Katie. Do you think that's going to weigh in her mind a bit, and Katie having that sort of aspect that I've got the decision before once in terms of Chantelle, I stepped into the ring, or is it too long ago? Do you sort of, do fighters ever lose that psychological mental thing when they have upped someone in the past in terms of that when they've gotten a result? Does it ever sort of linger in terms of just give you confidence that you can say, right, even back in an amateur days, that I got the better of you once in terms of that, so I know I can start to do it? Or does fighters leave that, or are they sort of scarred by an amateur sort of defeat?
I think that it all just depends on what type of person you are. It depends on your character. But I was at that fight when them two boxed, and look, Katie had perfected amateur boxing over 4 rounds, and she's taken a little bit of that into the pros. Like I said, early on, Katie's untouchable. It's the back end of the fight. It's the championship rounds where she fades. Whereas on the flip side, Chantelle takes 3 or 4 rounds to get going, and then she comes on stronger. And for me, this is why this fight is so exciting, because that's how I weigh it up. Katie starts really fast. She pinches the early rounds, and then she tends to coast for the back end of the fight. Whereas Chantelle's a little bit slower. She starts slow. She needs a couple of rounds to get going, and then she comes on strong. So it's whether or not Katie could keep Chantelle off, and whether or not Chantelle can pinch some of them earlier rounds for me.
Yeah. And Savannah, you mentioned there about the resumes of both fighters, and Chantelle has beaten everyone that has come before her, but I suppose she's always been looking for that big fight, that big name, in terms that she hasn't really got that on her resume as of yet. She's done what she needed to do, but if you're looking at both two resumes in terms of the names on top of it, obviously Katie's will probably look with Serrano, with the likes of Han, with the likes of Persoon, all these type of names under her belt as well. So for Chantelle, was it the time that she had to take this fight now, or she would never really get that opportunity again, or she might really get that fight against that sort of big name? Was it important for Chantelle that she's had to take the opportunity when it was given to her? She did no really choice, because Katie's not going to be around forever, and I suppose in terms of big names and sort of boxing, if an opportunity comes against them, probably the top elite, you just have to drop everything and take it, even though it might be a bit earlier than you would have liked, or it might be not on your sort of terms. You just have to go for it, haven't you?
Yeah, 100%. I think female boxing is still behind male boxing, whereas in male boxing you have 3 or 4 champions at each weight, 3 or 4 elite, whereas in the women there's only 1 or 2. You're quite lucky to get a rival really in women's boxing, because the pool's so shallow, there isn't that many women. And I think Chantelle was surprised just as much as everyone else was when she actually signed on the dotted line to fight Katie. And it's not just that. Look, it's a massive payday. Everyone's chasing Katie, Michaela Mayer, Tasha Jonas, because Katie's big money, and that's what it's about at the end of the day. You know, we train just as hard as the men, and we put some, if not better, fights on. So we want big money, and that's what it's about.
And I suppose, Savannah, here in Ireland, I know Chantal's a great friend of yours and you'll be cheering her on. Here in Ireland, obviously, we're sort of hoping for the fairy tale sort of story with Katie. But do you think, personally, I know no fighter wants to be asked this, but do you think that this may be, for Irish fans, if Katie is victorious, that to soak it up? Because will this probably be a decision that Katie's going to make? Do you think it could be the final bout in Katie Taylor's career if she's victorious?
I'm not sure, you know. I've just watched the weigh-in, and it's the best shape I've ever seen Katie in. I got a bit of a shock because I thought, right, what is she now? 36, 37. She's weighing the weight above. Is she going to be a little bit fleshier? And she was ripped to bits. So, and she's actually glowing. And I thought, wow, this is the best Katie I've seen for probably the last 3 or 4 fights she's had. And she seems up for it. So, you know, we'll see tomorrow night.
We'll see tomorrow night in terms of that. And that brings us on to Savannah. Obviously, you're deep in preparation. You have a world title contest coming your way against the unbeaten Franchon Crews coming our way on June the 17th. You're stepping up for the Super Middleweight Championship of the world on obviously the Liam Smith, Chris Eubank encounter. Savannah, I suppose you held 13 wins in your career, 13 fights, 12 wins in your career, 10 by knockout. You had probably that bit of time to reflect on that sort of Clarissa Shields decision, that victory for Clarissa. Do you feel now is the right time to get back into the ring in terms of stepping up for a world title? Have you the time, the downtime possibly that you needed after that contest? And you feel now that psychologically, physically, mentally, that you're back in A1 ready for this contest?
Yeah, I do. I'm 30. It's my birthday today. I'm 32. So for me,
congratulations.
I'm not getting younger, so I can't sit about and wait. It's been 6 months. No, sorry, about 8 months since the fight. So that's plenty of time. And I'm full time. I've been a full time athlete since I was 17. So when I'm not in training, I actually don't do anything else. So it's been a long 8 months, and I'm just excited that I've got a date and I'm back in the ring soon.
And after a while, was it a hard process to land this sort of fight in terms of getting Franchon Crews, getting that sort of title contest? Was it locked in negotiations? Were there a time where you thinking it mightn't sort of happen? Had you other avenues in mind? Or when you decided to come back after that sort of break from boxing, maybe the start of the year in January, February, was that the name that you wanted sort of straight away? Have you got the name you wanted, basically? Have you got the fight that you want?
Me and Franchon have been on each other's radar for quite a while. A very long time, to be honest. I was at super middleweight a couple of years ago, wanted the fight with Franchon, never accumulated. So I come down to middle because there was an opportunity for me there. And straight after, I hadn't even got out the ring after boxing Clarissa, and Franchon had called me out at the side of the ring. And look, it's because we just sold out the O2. It was massive. The show was massive. We made a lot of money, and she was stood there and thought, you know what, I want a piece of that. I want a piece of the cake. So she basically, she gave me this opportunity. She called me out. So she come to me.
Yeah. In terms of, I think you just froze for a second, Savannah, but we'll just wait and see if you just come back to us there.
I don't want to be doing 8 rounds, but even for the fans, how can I just sell out the O2 Arena like that in a massive fight and then go back to fighting 8 rounders against people who I'm meant to beat? Do you know what I mean? It's not fair, and I would never expect people to come and spend their money and book hotels and trains. So for me, I just wanted to crack on. I thought, right, I'm up here now. What's the point in stepping back? Let's just keep going.
And I suppose, Savannah, in terms of Franchon, in terms of that sort of a fight as well, is camp really beginning to sort of step up now? It's not too far away, June the 17th. You're only, what are you, less than a month, I suppose, 3 weeks away now. Is it really camp going into overdrive? Have you been able to get the sparring partners that you want in terms of preparation sort of fight? And have you a bit of downtime this weekend, obviously, to enjoy the big fight here in Ireland, or is it just hectic for you at the moment?
No, I've literally just got back from sparring. That's why I'm a bit sweaty. But no, it's camp's in full flow. I'm in good health, injury free, so it's all good. I'm gonna go out for some nice food tomorrow, come back and watch the boxing. But like I said, I'm like, Chantelle's my good friend, so I don't know if I'm even going to be able to watch it. I might have to just nip out and walk the dogs, come back in half an hour and see what's going on.
And Savannah, before I sort of wrap up with you there, I just want to touch on a topic that is developing into the men's game now at the moment. And I see it's sort of making its way into the women's game as well in terms of boxing. I just want maybe your thoughts, you might want to share your thoughts or views on this thing about influencers, influence and boxing. It's happening in the men's game now, where you see Jake Paul and these KSI, and now all these celebrities in the female world are trying to, with big names on Instagram, are trying to get in the ring in terms of boxing as well, and have these sort of fights. And what's your sort of take on it? Do you feel it a bit disrespectful to you professional fighters like yourselves, who have gone through the amateur careers, who've gone to Olympics, box for your sort of country and 4 or 5, when you see these influencers who have these big followings on Instagram and all that, being able to get these marketing deals and put on these sort of fights with publicity sort of fights for loads of money, do you say, well, fair play to them, or you just think, well, that's sort of a bit disrespectful of boxing?
No, fair play. I think, look, everyone either boxes for money, legacy, fame. I mean, who wants to be punched in the head for free? Who wants to be punched in the head behind closed doors? Do you know, unless you've got a screw loose, nobody. So fair play to them. Do you know what I mean? That they're putting on shows, they're bringing new audiences to boxing, they're earning a lot of money. So fair play. I think. You know, if I had the skills to jump into another sport and make a load of money and, you know, bring, you know, loads of new publicity and new audience and influence people, I'd jump on it. So hats off to them.
Yeah. And finally, I suppose, Savannah Marshall, just a quick word in terms of maybe summarising what Katie Taylor, in your eyes, has meant to boxing since she turned professional in 2011, in terms of here in Ireland and the UK and England, in terms of maybe what she's done for the younger generation of girls all across the countries that might have wanted to step into a ring because of what Katie's done. Will her legacy, every fighter's day comes to an end at some stage, but do you think when Katie Taylor, when that day comes, that she will have left her mark on the boxing in terms of Ireland and UK, and is she still very much adored even by the young girls over in England in terms of being a role model, this sort of a pioneer in terms of maybe putting female boxing on the map here in the UK? In Ireland?
For me, female boxing is Katie Taylor. I've known Katie. I remember getting on the international scene when I was 16-year-old, and Katie won everything. She won every tournament, got best boxer in every tournament. She was just untouchable. It was like she used to float. She was just a legend back then. And for the fact that, you know, she kept going, Olympic Games, all the trouble she had in Rio. She was the turning point for me for giving women opportunity in the pro game. You know, she brought this massive audience. All her followers from Ireland, everyone from the amateur days, all started to tune in the female professional boxing through her. And, you know, like you said, she doesn't shy away. Delphine Pursuit, Amanda Serrano, Chantelle Cameron. She's like I said, for me, Katie Taylor is professional boxing, female professional boxing, and I think she'll live on forever. If there was some sort of syrup or, you know, something she could take to just live forever, I think she'd just box forever. But sadly, age does catch up, and I'd love for her just to do it properly and not become one of them fighters where they're in their 40s and they're taking shots and they're just getting battered about and everyone's watching thinking, I remember years ago she was untouchable. I hope she just does it right. And I hope, do you know what? I'm always going to be team Chantelle Cameron, but I hope Katie has brings a good night to Dublin, for her people.
On that note, Savannah Marshall, thanks for being our guest today. We wish you all the best in that super middleweight title showdown against Franchon Crews on June the 17th on Sky Sports box office. It's in the card of Liam Smith versus Chris Eubank Jr. We wish you all the best in your preparation for that. Obviously, you're hoping for a Chantelle victory, given your relationship and your friendship, and hopefully all that happens is hopefully Chantelle puts on a great show and really does herself proud. But at the end of the car, we here in Ireland, we're hoping for a fairy tale story for Katie. But thanks for giving your expert opinion there today. And Savannah, best of luck in that showdown. No doubt you'll have the belts around your waist in the near time future. But for me, Jim Conlan, to you, Savannah Marshall, stay safe, take care, and God bless.
Cheers, James. Bye.